Hola y'all, it's Jessie, and today I want to bring you a great side dish that you can make with leftover mashed potatoes. Let me show you how to make my loaded mashed potato casserole. I am all about eating leftovers. Whatever the occasion for mashed potatoes or creamed potatoes calls for, sometimes I make too many. And when that happens, I like to transform those leftover mashed potatoes into another dish. This dish actually comes from my grandmother, and she made a potato casserole, a mashed potato casserole that is so delicious. But I wanted to add my spin on her recipe, and this is how I came up with loaded mashed potato casserole. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I have my leftover creamed potatoes in my pot. This is cold from the fridge, and I'm gonna measure out how many cups of mashed potatoes I have. Of course, you can also use fresh mashed potatoes. You do not have to use leftovers, but this recipe is great to use those leftover potatoes in your fridge. All I'm doing is taking my measuring cup, scooping the mashed potatoes in the pot to make sure I have an accurate measurement for this recipe. So far, I have 4 cups of mashed potatoes. I made way too many potatoes. All right, the final verdict for the mashed potatoes or the creamed potatoes is 5 cups. So I'm gonna take my 5 cups of creamed potatoes or mashed potatoes, and I'm going to put them in the baking dish, and I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of melted butter. These potatoes are still cold, so this will help warm them up. Just like that. I'm gonna give them a really good mix and stir in all of that butter. Okay, once all of my butter has been stirred into the mashed potatoes, I want to add half a cup of whipped cream cheese. It looks like this. It's gonna go right in. Okay, the whipped cream cheese is in here, and I'm just gonna give it a really good mix. If you're using fresh mashed potatoes and you just cook them and they're really hot, this is a lot easier to do, but it just takes a little work. It's no big deal. That looks good to me. The next thing I want to add is bacon bits. Of course, you can fry bacon, but this is a leftover recipe, so I'm actually going to use real bacon bits from a package, but you can definitely fry some fresh bacon, no big deal. 3/4 of a cup. We're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of chopped bacon. And we're gonna stir that in. This ingredient is half a cup of sour cream. I use light. Shh. All right. As you can see, I have all of the bacon folded into the mashed potatoes. Every single bite of this casserole is gonna have that crunch of salty, delicious bacon. The next thing I want to add is half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese into the potatoes. We're gonna put another layer on top, but I just want some cheesy, melty goodness in the middle of this casserole. So half a cup, and we're gonna stir that in. I'm gonna give this a good mix. Okay, now that we have all of the bacon and all of the cheese spread evenly into the potato casserole, and I just took my spoon and my spatula and just made an even layer. Now we're gonna add more cheddar cheese, enough to cover the top. All right, now that I've sprinkled, this was about half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Now I want to add a special ingredient. Lay's. We are gonna take these Lay's and we're gonna crush them up and put a layer of Lay's classic salty potato chips on top. I'd also like to add that these are leftover mashed potatoes. So I had already seasoned them with salt and pepper. If you're doing fresh, make sure you season your potatoes. Mine are already seasoned and they do not need anything extra in them. We're gonna take our Lay's and we're gonna grab a handful out of the bag. I'm gonna crush them right on top of my loaded mashed potato casserole. I'm gonna grab another handful. Of course, you could put this in a Ziploc bag and crush them if you wanted to. To me, it's just easier to grab them and crush them in your hand. You want a thin layer of Lay's salty potato chips all over the top. Okay, one last ingredient and then it's ready to go into the oven. By the way, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. All right, the final step of our loaded mashed potato casserole are diced green onions. Just came out of the oven, the moment of truth. I'm gonna get me a scoop and I'm gonna taste it for you. I hear the crunch of the chips on top already. Look at that, it is so hot. Look at all that ooey gooey melted cheese and potatoes. I'm so excited. Here we go. I want some green onion. I want some cheese, some chips. Y'all, this is gonna be so hot, but so worth it. I have no words. I have no words. It is salty, it is creamy, it is crunchy, it has bacon, it has chips. You have to make it. You have to. Stay tuned for more great recipes. Do you hear that crunch? Adios.